going to talk about pruning your fruit trees in the fall. You can do this one of two ways. You can prune them right now in the fall before it freezes, or in the very, very early spring. And I mean the second it starts to thaw if you live in a cold climate area. So we're talking like February. You know, once some of the deepest freeze temperatures are done and you start to see the buds come. I like doing it right now because, again, just like on the rose bushes, I can cut my trees down and shape them the way I want without adding additional stress on them in the spring. So, especially you can see this area, this particular tree is up against our house and also around, you know, by the walkway. So I want to keep it a certain size and cut it down each and every time. And right now is also the easiest way to see that. So a couple quick things about pruning in the fall or the spring, anytime you do it, especially when the leaves are off and when there's no fruit, all right? So a couple of things are, I am going to prune anything that's growing funny, all right? Meaning, like if it's a curved branch and it's not, you know, growing nice up and straight, so we're just gonna prune right to the edge of that. All right, then another place that we're gonna prune is if anything's growing out sideways or not strong and straight, I'm gonna prune that right off down to where there is a strong straight branch. The other place that I'm gonna prune is, and take off items, all right, I'll come over here and show you. Anything that's gonna grow into something else, okay? So the key tip for any of your fruit trees, so apple trees, peach trees especially, pear trees, any of the fruit trees, if it's going to grow into the other branches, that's where you're going to cut it out. You want to thin that out and make it so that there's room for the branches and the fruit to grow and the blossoms to have that growth, the sunlight, the water, instead of growing crisscross into each other. They don't grow as well and develop as much, and then you get the wimpy little branches like this, the shoots that come off of it. So I would take both of these off like that. And then the last thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to get a ladder for this, but what I think I can reach a couple to show you, and that is what size do you want it at? What size or height do you need to cut it down to? So specifically for this tree, I don't want it to grow much more tall to where you can see that I've previously pruned it. So I'm going to bring these down to just cut right above where you can see there's going to be a bud in the spring. So I'm going to bring those down. I'm going to bring that down just right next, so it's not going to grow much taller than that. And it will with the green leaves in the next season and when the fruit comes on it. But I want it to stay in this general area because, like I said, this is a specific size tree, not to let it grow and just get wild and as tall as it wants. Okay, I wanted to show you exactly from my view what it looks like and what I'm going to do and the technique and how I choose what to prune. So for example, so right here I'm going to show you these two are growing into each other and they're on the inside of the branch. So I'm going to cut those off right down to the branch. I'm going to cut that one off right down at the branch. Okay, so then you can see I said from down below that this is the size that I wanted it, or the height. All right, so you can see how I've cut that branch now. So I'm going to do the same thing to cut to the height and the new, still allow the new growth. Now see, this is a great example here too, where it's growing in to the other branches. So we're gonna cut that one right down. And also that's gonna give the strength to this particular branch and keep this branch going. So we're gonna cut right down to here to keep it to the height that we're gonna want. And I'm gonna cut this one off, and actually also this one, so that the growth goes specifically and strengthens, you know, and possibly maybe to this new one where there might be a blossom or the fruit. So for example here, you can also see, you can see this little guy growing into other branches. We're going to cut that one off. We're going to cut that one off. That's growing funny and into the other branches. And then this one, take this down again to the height of where we want to keep the height of this tree. All right, so hopefully that's helpful to see. Here's one more that I'm going to do where these are growing into each other and they're on the inside. So you want to clear out the middles of everything. That's always the golden rule with your fruit trees. So cut the inside one that's growing into each other, cut the other inside one that's growing to each other. And then also this one's growing up out into other branches. So you want to keep the growth, you know, going straight up and promoting nice strong branches. So for the height, I want to cut this one down to here. I want to keep it to that height. Now these are actually two these are growing nice and straight and not into each other. So I think that I'm going to cut this one right here, and I'm going to cut this one right here, and then I'll see what they're like next year. How do they grow? Does one have a blossom on it and the other one doesn't? And see how those do if they keep growing nice and straight.